Hello everyone and welcome to Decks and Dials. This is my review of this Orient watch which I showed off in my last review and promised to do a review, so here it is. I've owned it for about a year and I'm very happy with it. As I mentioned earlier, I kind of wear it as a dressed watch, even though it's not exactly a dress watch. I mean, you could call it something of a sport watch, but I find that it goes really well with my regular day-to-day clothing that I wear to the office to work. So I find that it goes well with, if you're wearing like a dress shirt or, a sweater, anything really. So it's my kind of day-to-day slash dress watch because I don't really wear what you would call, actual dress watches because, just not my style because I don't really wear suits to work. So this is my go-to. So to be exact, this is an Orient FM03004B0. Not the catchiest of names. And I think this might be one of the reasons that this watch isn't more popular because there's no easy name that people can refer to it, right? I have another Orient, the Triton, that, you can just say it's an Orient Triton, whereas this is just a mouthful and doesn't really have a quick name that you can just say. So what do I like about it? Well, first of all, it's a really great looking watch. I know it's kind of an obvious thing to say because obviously who would wear a watch that they don't like the looks of? But I think the looks are really one of the strong suits of this watch. I mean, the design just really hits the spot for me. So if you think about it, it has all the things that you need in an everyday watch, right? So it has very good legibility with these big Arabic numerals, right? It has something of a, a niche feature, right? It has a rotating slide rule bezel that you can use to do various calculations, unit conversions. I'm not going to show it off on this video because, quite frankly, I don't remember the exact way to use it because I'm too young to have been taught how to use a slide rule. I did watch a couple of tutorials on it, and if you like, I can record one of my own. So let me know in the comments if that's something that interests you. But, it's nice to have just in case you do know how to use it. We have a nice leather strap. The black leather goes really with almost any kind of clothing style. It's very soft. It's very supple. We've got a display back, right? Obviously, you don't see it while you're wearing it, but it's nice to look at sometimes. Let me try to show you the inner workings a little bit, what we can make out. Let me see if I can fiddle with the camera to show it off a little bit better. Let me go into the macro mode. There we go. So as you can see, it has some nice decoration on the rotor. Very cool. It has obviously the name of the brand, the crest, some decoration on the bridges as well. It's a good looking case back. And I think it goes really well with the kind of watch that it is, right? It's kind of dressy, but not too dressy. I really like it. Anyways, getting back to the front of the watch, as you can see, there has a number of features that are really great. So in terms of practicality, right, it has 100 meters of water resistance, which is really good. Let me go back to the regular mode, which is great because, if you forget to take it off when you wash your hands or, I don't know what's happening in your life. Maybe you need to wash your kid or your dog and, you put your hand into, a tub of water or something like this, this is going to be fine. It's okay for submerging it entirely. Now, I wouldn't go swimming with it, even though with a water resistance of 100 meters, you should be able to go swimming with it. But I tend to baby my watches when it comes to water, so I don't really take them to the limit that they're rated for. So if it's something that's 100 meters, I consider that to be safe for everyday activities, but not actual, diving or swimming or snorkeling or anything like that. So I think you should be perfectly safe if you fall into a small body of water or, accidentally dip your hand underwater. But I wouldn't do anything much more vigorous than that because obviously if you're doing something like swimming, you're moving your hand through the water, which increases the water pressure, and the gaskets weren't really meant to deal with that kind of pressure because, obviously, if it's water resistant to 100 meters, they should be, but that's only, when it's brand new and comes out of the factory. And over time, these gaskets do degrade. And, I just wouldn't test it. I can probably do a whole video talking about water resistance and what I think about desk divers and things like that, but that's another topic for another day. Anyways, to get back to the dial, I really like that It has the big airbags that make this dial that's would otherwise might be quite busy still very legible, and all those airbags are actually loomed. Not very strong loom, but it's quite visible when you're in total darkness. Also, you'll notice that the hour hand, the minute hand, and the little power reserve indicator that I'll talk about more in a minute, there have a little bit of loom as well. One of the things that I really, really like about this is that, as I said, this watch kind of strikes a balance, right? It looks dressy, right? Not in the classic dress watch way where it's, very minimalist and elegant, but, it's, I don't know, the brush, or rather the polished surfaces. I think it's a really great look, especially on black, all that silver on black. It's, I don't know, it just really, it makes me really, really love looking at it. And I just moved the minute hand out of the way. As you can see, we have the nice applied Orient logo. I don't know. I just really love the looks of this watch. Getting back to the power reserve, I find it to be an extremely useful feature because when you have a couple of watches that you like to wear and you want to change them from day to day, it's kind of a hassle to always pick up a watch that essentially is completely wound down, that's not running, because then you have to reset the time, the date, all these things. But if it keeps running, then you just pick it up and put it on. But the question is, how do you know when you're taking it off at night, does it need a bit more of a wind, or in this case, a bit of a shake, to make sure that it's topped up enough that by the time that you pick it up the next day or the day after, it'll still be running, right? So the power reserve actually lets you know when the watch is fully wound, so that you can put it down and know that, the day after tomorrow, you can pick it up and it'll still be running and you don't need to reset it. You just put it on and go. So those are all the things that I really like about the face of the watch and the movement itself. About the strap, I already mentioned that the material of the band is really nice, but I want to point out that this deployment clasp is also extremely convenient. When you're putting it on and taking it off, it takes like a moment. It's got a push button deployment. It's very secure, not going anywhere. And it looks like a regular clasp, like a regular clasp. Sorry about that. Anyways, so I really love it, and but there are a couple of things that are, you can call them shortcomings, right? So let's talk about what are the things that I don't love so much about this watch. So first of all is the crystal. So it's only a mineral crystal, which means that it will scratch up if you put it up against, hard surfaces like, I don't know, like some coins or keys, or, more likely if you're just, moving about, you might hit your hand up against a doorknob or something like that. You can scratch it. So I have a couple of watches with mineral crystals that, they get scratched up after a while. And I really hope that there are replacement crystals available on the market, because, sooner or later, probably will get scratches and I'll want to replace them. So it would have been nice to get a sapphire crystal, but as I'll mention when I talk about the price, this one is a pretty reasonably priced watch. So it would have been nice to have sapphire for that price, or rather at this price level, but I understand why they might not have been able to do it. So another downside is the movement itself. So as I said, it's cool that it has a power reserve, but it doesn't have hacking or hand winding, meaning that you can't just turn the crown and wind it. So if it's dead, you have to either give it a couple of shakes or wear it for a while in order for the mainspring to get wound up a little bit. And you can't hack it. So meaning when I pull out the crown to the time setting position, as you can see, I can move the minute hand, but that entire time, the seconds hand is still running. So it's very difficult to get a precise second-to-second synchronization between the watch and, the actual time. So you have to be very tricky to try to get it just right. And you have to pretty much wait for the watch to be dead and then, sync it. So you can't really sync it effectively when it's still running. So you can kind of do a back hacking. So if I turn the minute hand backwards, you can see that the seconds hand, because it's indirect drive, does slow down and sort of stops, but it's not really a great way of doing it. And finally, one thing that really bugs me about the dial is the really small date. So as you can see, it's actually its own little dial, and it's kind of hard to read. Now, it's not impossible, right? But you definitely do have to squint, and I would much prefer to have an actual, date window with a display of just one number at a time to display the date. That would have been really great. To talk about the small details like the measurements, so this is a 43 millimeter wide case, but it wears quite compactly on the wrist, so it's not too bad. I mean, it's definitely a bit on the larger side, but it's not obnoxiously big. It's 13 millimeters thick, which I find to be quite nice, and it sits very nicely if you're wearing some clothing and you want your sleeve to go over it. It's not a problem. And lug to lug is 52 millimeters, which works really nicely for my wrist size, which is about 7 inches. So I really like it, and I highly recommend you get one because these, I believe, are now out of production, and you can find them for around 200 euros. I got this one for about 170, brand new from Amazon. I believe they're sold out over there, but there are a couple of others selling them online for, around 200 or so. So if you do like it, I recommend getting it because sooner or later they will all be sold out, and you'll only be able to get them secondhand. And I personally don't like to get watches secondhand because, I mean, you never know what the condition is, and you don't know what the situation with the warranty is. Anyways, that's my thoughts on this watch. I really love it. Let me show it to you on my wrist. Right now I'm wearing another watch. This is the Dive Master 4 from Aragon, my most recent watch purchase, a very, very reasonably priced automatic chronograph with an NE88 Seiko movement. I really like it, and I'll probably do a review on it soon enough. I'm just kind of getting to know it, wearing it, and seeing what I like and dislike about it. But so far, I'm very positive about it, aside from a few little niggles that I'm not so crazy about. Anyways, let me show you the Orient on my wrist. And as I said, I have a 7-inch wrist, and I believe it fits quite nicely. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you like this review and you'd like to see reviews of other watches like this Aragon, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so that you know when the videos goes up. And if you have any feedback, please write it in the comments below.